I am Heshima Mance, and I am the Senior Director of Programs at Chicago Child Care Society. I oversee our Youth Development Department here at the agency. Under that department falls our CHA Youth Development Program. Our CHA program is a program designed to support youth that reside within a CHA housing authority. We were honored to work with the Wentworth Homes this past summer, and the summer before last, in supporting the youth in creating art experiences. Through that program, each day, the mentors within that program will work with the youth to build out their thoughts and ideas as it relates to a specific art of choice. Once that happened, we brought in an artist, and that artist worked with the youth to actually bring those pieces to life. This past summer, our theme was freedom.
It began when I was a student at DePaul. I was working with a Stain Center at DePaul. They had an internship/scholarship that gave the opportunity to students at DePaul to create a community service initiative of their choice. It was pretty much a hand-designed, customized community service project by the student. So the first conversation that I had with Heshima was, it was an introductory conversation between the two. It was my first time meeting her. We were pretty much meeting to find out if I was a fit for the project, if this was the organization I would want to work with. So we were pretty much learning about each other. She was learning more about myself as an artist. I was learning more about the organization, Chicago Child Care Society. And what we realized was that we had a lot of common goals, a lot of common interests in terms of what we wanted to give to the community. And once we discovered these common interests, it gave us both time to think on it and ultimately come to the decision that this was a collaboration that needed to happen. So the initial conversation between me and Heshima was really just that, introducing ourselves to one another and figuring out if our visions aligned and was it the right thing to create, right thing to do for the community. The development of the project began with a conversation I had with Miranda. We were working to figure out what could I do to get the most out of this internship. And my background is in visual arts, my background is in a lot of the creative fields, so we were figuring out what can we do using my talents to give back to the community. Through this conversation, we realized that a mural project would be an amazing way to incorporate students to be able to work and learn more about creative murals in general, and then hopefully it could inspire them to want to take this talent or skill to another level. So through the development, the next steps were figuring out what's a design that we could create that can inspire the students and the people that are working with the Child Care Center in Hyde Park. And we realized that the community needed a light. And when we realized the community needed a light, we wanted to create a piece of art that gave that light to the community, not only to the students, but people that are collaborating with the Chicago Child Care Society. And in this, we ended up developing this concept for the mural, which is My Voice is Light. Some more backstory behind what inspired me to create the design of the mural. At that time, I was actually reading the book of Genesis out of the Bible. I was reading the Bible from beginning to end, and I was in the book of Genesis. And some of the first words in the book of Genesis is, "Let there be light." It says, "And God said, let there be light." You fast forward a few verses to the next chapter, God said that we were made in His image. And those words resonated with me because it helped me realize and learn more about the power that we have as humans to be able to speak things into existence and to be able to create things with our words. From this, I also was talking with a friend at the time that shared her testimony from some traumatic experiences that she overcame. And after having this conversation with her, and she shared with me how she, for the first time, spoke about her experiences in a public setting and how it was healing not only for her, but it was healing for the people that heard the message. So combining what I learned from her story and what I learned from reading in Genesis, about to know things, and then considering this light that we want to bring to community. Those things together are what inspired the mural that I was able to create called My Voice is Light. So after that conversation, well, probably was during the conversation, Heshima shared with me that the Chicago Child Care Society works with a program of students called a program with students, and the name of the program was the Bridges Program. And the program was one to help students find different opportunities to get to college, find scholarships for college, and that sort of thing. So she thought it would be a great idea to introduce me mentoring some of the students in the creation of a mural. And when she brought that idea to me, I thought that was a great idea to incorporate the students' voice into this project. So we collaborated with the students in terms of, okay, how can we create a mural that represents the students as well visually? So I actually sat down after the conversation with Heshima. We decided to do the mural. I returned days later to meet up with the Bridge students. And I had pretty much a brainstorming session with the Bridge students for one day. And we all sat down and came together to figure out, okay, what message do we want to share with this mural visually? So we came together to decide colors, we came together to decide patterns, we came together to figure out how best can we represent the students and how best can we represent the community in this project. And it was an amazing chance for the students to learn more about brainstorming, to learn more about the process and the steps that goes into creating a piece of art, the process that goes into creating a mural. And this was just a one-day session that went well. And that day we actually had the opportunity to connect long-term using GroupMe, and I was able to stay in communication with a handful of the students. And from there, we was able to sort it out and kind of narrow it down, okay, which students were we going to be working with for this mural in particular. Coming into the room with the students, it felt like that they were open to wanting to know, okay, what is this? You know, what are we going to be doing? Is it real? Is it something that we could benefit from? Is it something that is actually going to happen? You know, who is this guy? You know, they wanted to know pretty much how genuine was the project. I felt that they were really analyzing it in that way to see if it's something that would actually benefit them in a positive way. And they, I wouldn't say that they weren't inviting, because they definitely allowed me to come in and share this vision with them and allowed me to work with them and brainstorm with them. But they definitely did kind of have a cautiousness about them in terms of making sure I wasn't trying to take advantage of them for this project, which I respected, because it was the first time I met them, it was the first time they met me, and I thought that was good, a good introduction, because it was really with the project. I remember it was time sensitive when I came into the project. I kind of came late into the internship, so I had a little less time to work compared to some of the other students at DePaul that started the internship. So with this time sensitivity that I had on my end in particular, we started moving fast. So I think this didn't really give me as much time as I could have had to introduce myself to the students, to be able to build a relationship with the students. So for me to be able to come in and allow the students to be as vulnerable as they were, sharing, well, I guess going back to one of the initial inspirations of the mural, which was my friend sharing hardships and trauma she went through to inspire her to overcome her trauma. We brought this same idea to the students for them to find ways to overcome trauma, to overcome hardships. So in the first day of meeting me, they had to be vulnerable and sharing the trauma, hardship that they went through in just the first day of meeting me. So I want to say it was everything at the end turned out great. A lot of students opened up a lot more than I thought they would, and I wanted to give it to the students for trusting me from the first day of meeting me and sharing these things, so that we were able to create this mural. So again, with the time sensitivity and the way the project ended up going, I actually ended up working with one student. So in terms of actually putting the mural up on the wall, so I worked with a group of students in conceptualizing the idea, conceptualizing the look of the mural. but we had to narrow it down to about 1 or 2 students and actually installing a mural onto the wall just because of the confined space in the hallway that we were working in. And then this was actually my first time mentoring students in the creation of murals, so just for it to be a more efficient process for myself, it was easier to work with 1 or 2 students. So with the process, I spent 1 or 2 days of working on the mural. I actually was able to work with one of the students in the Bridges programs hands-on and installing the mural. And I want to say it was an amazing experience for the both of us. During that time, we were able to connect and talk and learn more about one another. And I remember the student, when she shared with me one of her interests. So yeah, the student was interested in studying criminal justice. And with this interest, I realized that art, it was something that could have been an outlet for her. And when I started to learn more about what areas of art that she was interested in, she shared with me that she was actually interested in writing. So we actually had a great conversation, and I was able to share a lot of information from my experience with her in terms of ways that she could start writing now. Because I remember she would share with me that, man, when I get older, I want to do this. When I get older, I want to start doing this. But I was sharing with her now that, hey, this is something that you could get into at the age you are now. She's in high school, junior high school. And the fact that even she was hands-on in this project, working on a mural, this was first-hand experience showing that you can start doing your dreams and accomplishing your dreams now. Whether you're young and elementary school, a little older, middle school, a little older, high school, college student, if you're alive, that's a chance to start funding your vision. So in terms of collaborating with the student, with the mural was a great opportunity for not only for me to mentor her in creating a mural in which she got to learn more about it, and something I got to learn more about in terms of mentoring, but I also got to talk with her about some of her actual dreams and some of her actual goals and ways that she could start pursuing those dreams and goals now. So I just want to say that that was an amazing thing. It shows how a project such as just installing a mural can lead to her discovering even another passion and dream and learning how she can accomplish her goals at a younger age. So that was that's what the experience was like working with the student I got the chance to mentor. Began working on the project. I was a student at DePaul, wrapping up my undergrad senior year DePaul student, and it was cool because it was going into the summertime, finishing the mural. And working with Heshima, we got a chance to build a relationship through this project, and she got a chance to learn more about my work ethic while working on the mural and mentoring some of the bridge students. So towards the end of the project, she asked me, would I be interested in teaching an art class? And when she asked the question, I said, yeah, that sounds amazing. That was actually something I've always been interested in giving a try, teaching an art class. So this was actually my first time being able to do a venture of such. So my first summer working as an art teacher with Chicago Child Care Society, I created a curriculum for a program in which we allowed the students to explore what element represented them the best. So we worked with the elements earth, wind, fire, and water, and the students were able to connect with these elements on an artistic level and on a spiritual level. Fast forward, we had the chance to actually, I was actually grateful and honored to play a major role in establishing the entire theme of the summer art program, which ended up stemming from, sort of stemmed from the mural, but what it ended up being is we created a theme for the entire summer program, which was My Element. And I created a curriculum for the art class that we taught over the summer, which was to help the students discover what element represented them the best between earth, wind, fire, and water. My goal with this was to allow the students to find a way to express themselves through art, to find a way to release, whether it's anger they might have somewhere, sadness, depression, any of these lower vibration feelings that we all get, but sometimes we forget that children can go through these things as well. My goal was to find a way to allow these students to release these feelings and these emotions through art, and to discover creative ways to align themselves to something as simple as an element. So it was a 6-week program in which we worked with the students to discover which element represented them. Once they discovered which element represented them the best, we got to create an actual art piece. Each student created an actual painting inspired by this element and why it represented them. So it was an amazing program. We did a lot in terms of discovery and rediscovery for the students. I guess one example we could give that somebody might look at water and simply look at it, okay, it's just water, you can drink it, you can swim in it, this sort of thing. But the students and some of the other administrative staff and myself went deep into these elements and discovering, okay, what can water represent on the spiritual end in terms of like, okay, water is an element that flows, and if it flows, it's a little calming. Something like this can connect with the students. Say, okay, I'm a calm student. I want to become calm. I want to be able to flow through certain situations a little better. So water might represent me more. And if we look at something like fire, a lot of students, it's amazing to see a lot of students actually chose fire. They're saying, hey, I'm a little angry. Hey, I'm mad, so that's why I want to go with fire. So a lot of times a lot of the students were looking at the elements from a one-sided perspective, but I was grateful to be able to present to them two sides to the element. So you do have the element of fire being something that could represent anger or destruction, but then we also brought to the students the other side of it representing the light, it representing something that actually gives to the world as a light, something that reveals and can drive out darkness and this sort of thing. And being able to present these two sides of it, which are important to the students to show, hey, you can be angry, but in that same anger, you got to actually be a light. And to reveal this to the students, it was an aha moment in creating these pieces inspired by the elements. Going into the next summer, the next curriculum that I created was What Does Freedom Mean to Me? And so in this program actually presented some different challenges compared to the first summer. One of the major challenges being that the entire program was operated through Zoom. So this definitely sort of changed the direction of the curriculum, because we had to figure out ways to keep the students engaged, which were different than last summer in terms of keeping the students engaged. So the initial curriculum that I laid out was, okay, teaching the students, okay, what does freedom mean to me? And we was going to discover or rediscover freedom within the students on a 6-week basis. As we started the program, we started off slow just because we're, having trouble getting the students really engaged as we wanted them to, with it being through Zoom, which was to be expected. So it took for me to sort of slow down the program some, and sort of kind of almost every day was like freestyling to a certain extent, because I had to see, okay, which students were able to make it to the class. Okay, these students made it to the class. How can we keep them engaged with the program? So I pulling different things from the internet to keep the students engaged with different YouTube videos, we did a lot of different things. So it actually ended up being strictly art this summer. This summer we actually had 1 week where we actually tapped into poetry for the students. So the students had a chance to discover more about poetry, which was amazing, because I remember students in the class, they all did a great job creating a poem by the end of that class. And I actually learned that one of the students was highly interested in writing poetry. I already wrote some poems herself. I want to say she was about 9 or 10 years old. So for her to be at that age and to already have a lot of passion and drive to wanting to create poetry, this was actually right on time for us to discover poetry during this class. And I remember I was able to share some resources with the students, places in Chicago that they could go and visit in order to get the most out of their passion and love for poetry. So I want to say, even though initially this summer's curriculum was focused around what does freedom mean to me, I wanted to still keep that theme there, but figuring out how can we still keep the students' interest while working through Zoom. So we had to make some tweaks and changes to the program, but ultimately, by the end of the program, the students were able to create a painting. We were able to get an art set for each student. Each student was able to, even now at this moment, they all have their own art sets that contain crayons, color pencils, watercolors, oil pastels, and some pencils. So this is something that the students have as a resource where they can continue to create art, which is amazing. And then on top of that, the students were able to explore this tool set and create a painting just utilizing the pieces. So in that, we didn't really get to fully explore what does freedom mean, but we did get a chance to discuss the subject at the beginning of the program, and then just for the students to have the opportunity to discover poetry, to discover new forms of art. That in itself was discovering freedom for the students.
Wonderful.
Well, anything that I do, from my art to just words that I share with a friend, a friend or a family member, or a group of people, I hope that I can at least share something that provides some sort of healing to the person I'm sharing with, or the group of people I'm sharing it with. So to work with the group of students that I work with, to be able to work with the mentees that I work with, to be able to create this mural and know that hundreds of people see this, probably have seen this mural in passing throughout the past year. For me, the most rewarding part is knowing that I've been able to bring some sort of light to someone's life, to bring some sort of health to someone's life, to bring some sort of inspiration, motivation to someone's life. And for me, even if it's one person, that's all that matters in terms of sharing my message, in terms of sharing God's message in my work. And that's the goal, to be able to allow God's light to shine through me. And if I could, through art, through teaching, through just sharing some words, be able to do that, that's the most rewarding part for me. You know, what my work means to me, it changes as I mature, it changes as I get older. And at one point it meant a chance for me to make some money. It's a chance for me to create a piece of work that I, through my entrepreneurial skills, to be able to market it and profit from it. But as I matured and as I've grown, I've learned that it's a chance for me to share a message. It's a chance for me to share God's message, and to be able to be used as a vessel through my visual art, to be able to be used as a vessel through teaching, to be able to use as a vessel through creating film, and all these different skills and talents that I've been blessed with. For me, my work means to me is a chance to share love and light. That's what my work means to me. Well, for the youth watching this video, if I've worked with you before, it's been great. I definitely hope that we could work together again, whether it's teacher-student, and maybe far into the future, work as on a collaborative effort in terms of creating an art piece, or in terms of continuing to give back to the community. I want to share with the students that if you have an idea, just starting a simple idea, you can bring the idea to life at any age. So if now you have something that you feel that you want to bring to life, whether it's to bring to life through art, bring to life through science, bring to life through engineering, if you have the idea, then you have the ability to bring it to life. All it takes is hard work, faith, determination, and never giving up on your goals and your dreams. So I want to say I hope to see you all again. If I've worked with you before, and if I haven't worked with you, I hope that I have the opportunity to work with you.